Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, the top 5 ways to make your dealership more successful. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by DEALERUN. And for anyone who isn't familiar with DEALERUN, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our search engine optimization, best-in-class customer service, and our award-winning websites. Recently at NADA, DEALERUN received the Best in Show Award for website design from Dealer Marketing Magazine. DEALERUN was named the top-rated website provider by Driving Sales in 2012 and 2013, and it's official, DEALERUN customers have been winners of the Digital Dealer Website Excellence Awards, highly coveted overall winner 4 times in a row. DEALERUN's the only website company that can claim that. DEALERUN is so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that we're the only company in the industry to offer a money-back lead guarantee program. So, does your website company guarantee you leads? Well, then maybe you should check us out at DEALERUN.com. And we have a great show in store for you today. We are very pleased to have Marc McGurren as our presenter today. Marc McGurren joined PCG Consulting as a partner in January of 2012. Formerly as the Internet Director of the Jerry Durant Auto Group located in Weatherford, Texas, Marc had more than 8 years of automotive experience as he held positions that range from salesperson, sales manager, finance manager, general manager, assistant service and parts director, as well as his last position as Internet Director. His passion and desire to execute digital marketing strategies is contagious, and his track record of "you can't fix what you don't know" helped the Jerry Durant Auto Group have their best year in 42 years and sell over 10,800 cars in 2011. Most recently, Marc was featured on the cover of Ward's Auto Dealer Business Magazine for his strategies on being one of the top GM internet dealerships in the country. He is a regular contributor and former community editor for DrivingSales.com, a speaker at multiple automotive conferences, including the Digital Warrior Academy, Digital Marketing Strategies Conference, CADA Innovative Summit, Digital Dealer Workshops, and Driving Sales Executive Summit. Marc is an avid traveler and writer, and he can be reached at marc@pcgmailer.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we're going to respond by email to you later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of the webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference. And please, share it with friends and colleagues. They'll like it. And guess what? Our good friends at PCG Consulting are giving away a fantastic prize today on the webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a private one-on-one coaching session with Marc McGurren, and he'll cover process for internet leads, BDC, actually whatever you want. And this prize is valued at $500. All you have to do is stay tuned for details after Marc's presentation, and you could be walking away with this totally awesome prize today. Also, at the conclusion of the webinar, you're going to receive a short survey. Fill it out, because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. And today, we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So let's get started. Let's learn the top 5 ways to make your dealership more successful. Marc McGurren, so glad you came back to the show. How are you?
I am fantastic, Eliana. How are you doing?
If I were any better, I'd be you, babe. I'm so glad you're back. And I know it's the very, very tail end of the month, and it's very busy. And for these people who came today to this webinar, we're going to make sure that they did not waste their time today, because I know you have some pearls just waiting to be shared with all of us, and I'm so excited. And the title, I love the title of this webinar, Top 5 Ways to Make a Dealership More Successful. I got to hear this. So what are we going to be learning about today?
All right. Yes, we are going to be learning, as you know, I travel all across the country working with dealers, and I wanted to kind of the idea was to be, if I was a fly on the wall, what would I be? And there's insights you gain as a consultant that you don't gain as a normal employee or even OEM potentially, because I'm supposed to be the one to help. And I get a lot of insights and behind the wall. So the goal today is to share some top 5 things that I think that everyone can be more successful regardless of their business, regardless of what they're doing, and regardless of their role, that they can help their dealership. So I need to know before we get started, and just so as I can speak more to those, I need to know what's your role in the dealership. Whoever's online, Eliana's going to put up a poll, and let's see what your role is at your dealership.
Yeah, let's do this. Okay, audience, let's get started. Let's share with Mark what your role or your job title is at your dealership. And, if it's not listed on there, hey, pick one anyway. Make yourself I don't know, pick one that you like. So please select one of the following options. Are you a dealer principal? Are you a GM, a GSM, sales manager, a BDC or internet director, or maybe you're a BD agent or salesperson? Whatever it is, write in, let us know. I'm sorry, not write in. Select one of the following options, and once we get a majority of the votes, we'll close the poll and share the results. Any ideas, Mark?
I would say most are going to be, I'd say it'd fall into the BDC director, sales manager role would be my guess.
Well, you know what? Almost everyone's voted, and thank you all so very much for getting involved with our polling. We have another couple of poll questions coming your way, so it really helps us out, lets us know what you're thinking and what you're doing at your dealership, and this is no exception. So we're going to close this poll and share the results with you. Here we go. Well, you were right, Mark. 67% of today's audience said that they're BDC or internet directors. So there you have it. We got 14% that are dealer principals, 8% says that they're GMs, 6% said that they're a GSM or a sales manager, and another 6% said that they're a BD agent or a salesperson. So Mark, does that help you out?
That does help me out. I figured, I figured we'd have a lot of folks in the internet or BDC side of things. Nice to see some dealer principals on, as well as some upper level management. So I'm ready to rock. You ready to rock, Eliana?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's bring it. Okay. Guys, again, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. I know it's the second to last day of the month. So we're going to get going and hopefully give you some impactful insights to bring home to your dealership. So today's objectives are going to be, I want to understand, that you guys understand what we've seen and why some dealers flounder. And also what I call it, roadblocks, flounder blocks, whatever you want to call it. I think it's kind of a funny name, but how can we remove the flounder blocks, right? Next, we're going to look at understand why some dealers flourish. I've been privileged to be in some side of dealerships where they're having all-time record months after month after month, record-breaking, record-crushing months. I want to share some of those insights of what some of these guys are doing and gals are doing, what makes them so successful. And last thing, obviously, inside of that whole thing, we're going to give you 5 bullet points things that must happen inside your dealership, okay? So that's where we're going. So we're jumping in. So why do some people flounder? Why do some dealers choose, and actually I looked up the definition of flounder. I did see a lot of Nemo, whatever his sidekick's name, I think that was, actually looked up that. So I actually looked
Dory? Dory's not a flounder, is she?
Yeah, I don't know, but it was Nemo, I think. So, but, it's why do they choose to struggle or stagger helplessly or clumsily in the water or mud, right? Why do some dealers we know, and maybe some of you people you work with, that causes us to turn a blind eye to the very things that are holding us back, right? So let me ask you guys this. Do you think there is just one reason that some folks, some dealers across this nation flounder? So I'm going to have Eliana give one more poll. Actually got one more after this, but I'm going to ask you guys, what do you guys think? Why do some dealers, why aren't they as successful as they should be?
Okay, audience, the question is up on the screen right now. So, why do you think some dealerships flounder or even fail? Please select all of the answers that you think apply. Do you think it's lack of leadership? Do you think it's little to no training? Maybe it's the lack of a cohesive vision within the dealership? Or is it simply that they just don't change? They keep doing things that they've been doing, from 20 years ago or 30 years ago, and if that's the way they've always been doing it, that's the way they stay. Or do you think it could possibly be it's the dealer? Maybe the dealer isn't there at the dealership all the time, and because the head of the organization isn't there, maybe that's what keeps dealerships from really, really being successful. So once we get a majority, we do have a majority of the votes. Here we go. Let's, are you ready for this? It's very, very interesting stats we got here.
Yes.
Okay, let's close this poll and share the results. Well, it's pretty evenly split, I have to say. Let's start at the top. 56% of today's audience think it's lack of leadership. 53% say it's little to no training. Interesting. 65% say it's a lack of a cohesive vision. That's actually the winner. 62% said it's lack of change. And 38% said it's an unengaged dealer. Mark?
Man, it's funny because, and this is actually great because I think this is going to speak to some of the folks that are in there, because many of the things that we talk about in the flounder blocks that we see around are just that. They're the management. They're the loyalty inside the dealership, or the blind loyalty of that, from both the employee to the dealer or GM, dealer principal, to the employee that gives favorable treatment. There is a lack of leadership that I see across this nation. And not just from the GM, right? And there's can be unengaged dealers. We bring up little kingdoms and empires inside of our dealership that they're so worried about the used car department that they don't care about the new car department or the parts department, or the body shop. We've been successful in spite of us, ourselves for the past years and decades, right? We got politics. They abound. The lack of training I'm seeing, as well as just the overall culture, is many of those things. So it's interesting to see that most of the folks on the webinar chose multiple options. One of them being, what was the highest again? Was it unengaged? No, the cohesive vision, the little kingdoms and empires. Folks they're not going in one direction. They're all going in their separate directions and worrying about their departments and not the pockets and the interests of the dealer themselves.
Yeah, and lack of change was very, very closely behind it too, and I completely agree with that. Yeah, 65% said lack of cohesive vision, but 62% said that it was the lack of change. And if you really think about it, the internet wasn't even really around, 12 years ago it was born? So if you're still doing stuff like you did it 20 years ago, and I know a lot of dealerships are, then how do you not change? How do you not change? You have to change.
You have to, but unfortunately, many dealers don't. And I've been blessed to be a part of, obviously, being inside dealers that want change, that desire change, that are willing to invest in the best practices. But ultimately, what if you have a dealer that is, regardless of your position, that's what I wanted to know, is we only got 14% dealer principals, and we got 50 some odd, 60% of BDC directors, internet directors, things like that. So how can that person remove some of the flounder blocks around? Well, let's talk about that. And that's what I want to go into, is because what we can do, what I learned at my last auto group, is you got to focus on what you can change, right? You got to learn how to control what you can control. That's the biggest thing, is there's some fights aren't worth fighting for. Right? We got to focus. If you're a BDC director and you can't, or internet director, and you don't have the ability to change the sales floor, to work on the CRM, to put notes in the CRM, and you've tried, and you've got an uphill battle, man, there's always so much time, and it keeps hitting. You kind of keep running into that wall. Like you run full force, you get your 3-point stance, you take off, and then bam, hit the wall. Focus on what you can change. Focus on your team. Focus on the areas of expertise that you are in, that you actually manage and control. And some of that the dealer is going to control, some of that your superior is going to control, but focus on what you can control. And also get the right people on the bus. If you have people, granted, I understand, especially with family-owned operated dealerships, there are golden calves. There are people that can do whatever they want, that in essence a kink in the system, that will go against anything that you say or do because they've been with that dealer or GM for decades at times, right? And so they can go into the dealer, get in their ear, and don't have to do what they need to do. I've been there, done that, I've worked that, I've seen it, and it's a tough thing to do. But if you can remove the people, we always say You know, we're in the car business, we're quick to hire, slow to fire. Man, I saw a dealership that I was working with. I literally saw something before them, and for 6 months, I said, we need to remove this person because they were cancer. And finally, they could become cancer enough, they finally removed them last month. Unfortunately, there was some damage done. So we got to remember, we got to get the right people on the bus to get us that cohesive vision. I'll be talking about how we can get some of that cohesive vision later in a second, but more importantly, we want to make sure to help get removed of that floundering, we have the right people. We also have to instill best practices. We have to recklessly chase after what we're about to learn shortly. We have to sit there and continually, day in and day out. I've been in the trenches. I've been where you're up when it's dark and you're getting home when it's dark. Sometimes it's not fun. But if you go through these processes that we're about to talk about and you get some stuff going, and I don't want to reveal the mojo that's going to come in a second. Hopefully it's the mojo. But what I do want to do is we want to recklessly chase after what we're about to learn. And I mean recklessly. Have a passion. Have a vision. If you don't have the passion, and I've actually spoken in the past about how to get your own passion, man, check yourself. Figure out what you need to do to where you're not bringing other people down by your lack of passion, your enthusiasm, or your desire to be there. So if you're a leader, and I think everyone on this webinar is a leader because you're leading something. I don't care if it's yourself, one other person, or a group of our entire dealership. We are leaders time and time again, okay? So remember, what I want everyone to focus on, if we want to write this down, is we want to control what we can control, right? We have to learn to work within the walls of our politics or organization, right? Just like when we were salespeople, we learn to work the desk. We have to learn to work the dealership that we're in, right? So, and lastly, we have to choose the battles we have to fight for, and absolutely forget the ones you'll waste your energy on, because I've done it. I've chased a CRM install in a 9-store auto group up a battle without full backing from the folks that I needed to, and I lost credibility. I lost the ability to, it just was not a fun fight. I'll put it that way. And then when I realized this, that I focused on the team that I had, that's when record months happened. That's when we became one of the best GM dealers in the nation, because we're able to put the time and energy into it, okay? So those are some basic flounder blocks that we can remove. Nothing crazy, nothing, oh my gosh, I've never thought about this, but I wanted to get you guys thinking, you guys and girls thinking about what we can do to keep moving the ball forward, all right? So I work with dealerships, again, all across the country. So why do I see some of these guys that are Flourish? Why do I see some of the dealers that are absolutely, I mean, double-digit crushing it? I mean, you know, small town, going from 300 to 400 car dealers a month, growing their internet department 300% in a 12-month time frame, right? A couple reasons, right? There's not just one reason. It's almost the opposite of what we just talked about. We have phenomenal management. We got loyalty to the organization. We have strong leadership. We have an engaged dealer or GM. We have a team mentality and ownership, and not the ones that have our own empires. We're not satisfied with our past successes. Yeah, we did great. We've made millions. We've made hundreds of thousands of dollars in the past, right? That's not good enough now. We have to be on the cutting edge. We have to be transparent with our team, which I think I'm going to speak to that here shortly. We have to absolutely be transparent with our team. We have an energizing culture and a continual focus on training and education, okay? So this is why I see why some things flourish, right? One of the best things that I've seen in any of these places is that dealers and management are engaged and involved. Now, I originally put dealers, right? And I just had dealers when I put this slide up, but I realized it's not just about the dealer. Yes, vision comes from the top down. So the 14% that's on here, yes. The GMs, if you're the main decision maker, it comes from the top down, right? What about you 60, 70% that are on this webinar that aren't a dealer? You're in management of some sort, right? You have the ability to control, if nothing else, yourself. You might be a one-man internet department, right? But you have to be engaged and involved with the processes and not just going through your tasks at hand, going through the motions and everything like that. You have to be engaged, involved. There absolutely is no replacement. So again, I keep saying this, but it's such a key factor that I think we get focused on when I talk to people. They start focusing on stuff they can't control, right? Let me tell you this. My good buddy Jack Sparrow once said, the problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem, right? I mean, it's cheesy, and yes, it's Jack Sparrow, but it's true. Because I'm a firm believer in how we react to situations. And when we embrace the culture that we're in, no one forced you to work at the dealership you're at. No one said, you know what, Mark, you're going to work at ABC dealership. I chose that. I chose to be there. I chose to be in the role I wanted to be at. You know what? I might have chosen my bosses above me, the superiors below, or the people I manage below me. I might have inherited those things, but ultimately, I still can change my attitude about it. And we've got to get, I hate the adage, it's a checkup from your neck up. It's the dang truth. We have to be focused on ourselves and our attitude about it. So that's enough. We're about to get in the meat in here, so let's go to top 5 ways to make your dealership more successful. And I found this picture, and I first want to talk about how amazing this invention would be if we actually could have it. And I want to talk about a see-through toaster. How amazing would that be? You have the perfect toast every time. That would be amazing. I'm just saying, how you get the bread out of that, I do not know, but it'd be phenomenal.
I just want to know if that's real. Is that a real picture? I mean, that's like a real toaster?
If not, us and the people on this webinar, we need to put our minds together and create a see-through toaster, and I think we could at least, we might be able to retire from our position.
Can you fit a bagel in it is what I want to know. That's awesome.
We'll make a bagel side, yes. But regardless, all cheese aside, or toast aside, this is one of the greatest things that I've seen change dealerships, right? So we have to instill and practice it in every department, okay? We have to, why do you think there's a lack of transparency? Why do we not let our teams know specifics? Why do we not let them buy in? And what the heck are we afraid of, right? Many dealers and GMs and managers are control freaks. They want to hold on to their empire. They want to hold on to their department, right? Us BDC directors are proud of what we've done, right? We are proud of our processes. We're proud of our templates. We're proud of what we've done, right? But we don't want to let anyone in. We want to hold, and we might give a little stuff here and there, right? We might say we've sold 100 used cars, 100 new cars. We might talk about gross, right? What about the net of the dealership? What about the profits of the dealership? Not gross profits. How about we show them everything, right? How about we have what's called top-down meetings? This is one thing as dealer principals, general managers, sales, if you manage anybody, this is a huge thing that you can do regardless of your position, right? We need to learn how to share our visions, right? We need to learn to share our financials. Okay, do we need to go through our balance sheet every month? Heck no, that's not what I'm saying. Or maybe it is. Maybe you share it with your top management, right? Do we need to share our goals and our struggles and our opportunities? I promise you guys, this is one of the biggest things that I've seen work. I don't care, and actually I think some people that I posted on Facebook are coming in this that are not inside the automotive industry, and this is so key. I don't care what you're doing. We need to have meetings that we share where we cast visions. You know what, if obviously we're talking to car people, let's talk about how many you want to sell, right? Let's have realistic but big, hairy, audacious goals. You know what, we cast that vision, we put it out there. You know, if we're selling 100 cars, you know, I don't want to sell, we're going to sell 300 next month. You know, what do we sell? It's incremental. We share the monies that are involved, the monies that are exchanging hands. We need to sit there and let them know what's going on. We have an Excel spreadsheet that many of you guys have seen that shares about in a BDC department or internet department that's going to show, it's going to break down my costs. It's going to break down how much every single, literally, I don't put it how much each person is making, but I might show my personnel department how much I'm spending on personnel overall. right? We need to have goals. What does not work? You know, one thing that I instilled in our family is what we call it a family meeting. We do this literally every week. And what it is, and it can work for a dealership, and this is the thing. We talk about what went great this week, what went bad this past week, and what are we going to work on. And the next meeting we have with me, my wife, and my 3 kids is that we look over that. What did we go through? And you know what's been funny is that when I forgot, my son, who's 7, sits there and just goes, Mark, when are we going to have the meeting? Let's have it. So we have it over dinner because people get bought into it. My son, 7, gets bought into this because he wants to be better and bigger than himself. Okay? So transparency can work inside your dealership. It can work inside your department. We have to make a concerted effort to do it on a daily, weekly, a monthly basis. Okay? Next up that we have to do is this, is accountability, right? Number 2 on the list is an accountability. We can't keep the fingers pointing at who's in charge, who's not. We need a clear organizational structure. Do you have an organizational chart? Hell, if it's scribbled down, but it needs to be passed on that whoever's in charge, and then as the GM and the people that are below you, if you're the dealer principal, the GMs or sales managers, do you actually give the people underneath the legs to have the responsibility to hold accountability? You're paying these people very good money. Trust their judgment. I like to hire people that are better than me. My travelers and other consultants that I work with me, in my opinion, are probably smarter than me. But you know what? That's going to make me better, make me look better. I had a phenomenal team with Jerry Durano Group. These guys were absolutely horses that I would be privileged to work with again, and they made me look good. You want to hire the people that are better than you. And again, Eliana shared it in the beginning, but this is I preach this. You can't fix what you don't know, right? Everyone needs to know what's going on. We need to see what's going on. And here, I am from Texas. Born in Illinois, raised in Texas. I got here as fast as I could. But an old saying is the proof's in the pudding and no one's in the eating. Or the proof's in the pudding. The proof in the pudding is the eating, right? That's what we got to do. The proof is in the pudding.
That totally sounds like a Texas thing. Did you get that from Texas?
And I didn't spell out pudding or knowing or eating. It's the proof's in the pudding and the no one's in the eating. Okay? We don't need to know how many and how much. Like I sold 100 cars and I made $200,000, right? The employees need to create specific goals, right? We need to have monthly goal sheets that we sit there and we track care of. We also compare departments. We compare salespeople. We compare our service writers. We changed when I was an assistant parts and service director, and we started putting in one-line ROs. We started posting how many of these folks did one-line ROs, right? And we went from a 1.3 average line per RO, if that means anything, to a 1.9. At 6/10 of an hour, billed at $90 an hour, is a tremendous amount of money for the dealer. And what we did is go around one by one every single day, letting them know where people stand. We put contests up and literally spent $200 for a very nice restaurant, a gift certificate for them to do it. It cost either $200, probably a tree or two because of all the paper we printed up, right? But we made a tremendous amount of money, okay? So we have to have that accountability. We track, we track our progress for goals. We post them up, and then we reward them. I'm not talking that we have to sit there and give away the farm, but we do need to reward them. Let their peers know how well they did. Give them insights. I'm not talking about monetary goals. Us salespeople, we throw a $100 bill at them, it's no big deal. Sometimes. But other folks that are around there, your service writers, your CSI folks, give them goals. We have to sit there and give them something to shoot for. Grant Cardone once said that he says no one gets excited about being average. No one wants to be average. So get the goals out there that are bigger than themselves. And lastly, when we sit there and we go, transparency plus accountability equals 100% owned operation. Let me say that again. Transparency plus accountability. I mean, I'm not fake transparency, not fake accountability, but true blue opening up your doors, opening up your minds and your hearts, and letting the your employees in, and you hold them accountable, that's when ownership happens. That's when things start to happen. Because you know why? Because money can't buy ownership. You can't sit there and reward or spiff enough people, right? One of the greatest assets we can have is a fully committed, trustworthy, and loyal employee that will, for lack of a better term, lay down their life for you. They will put in the hours. Why? Because it allows them to feel a part. It allows the employees to see the big picture. It allows them to sit there and be bigger themselves. And one thing, and this is kind of exciting for me, is a lot of times I do very fundamental, process-driven sessions like this. But I wanted to empower those on this webinar, and the ones that are going to be listening to us on DEALERUN's website, that I want you guys to realize something. And the ones that flourish, the dealers that flourish, that I've seen, that I get goosebumps being inside their dealership. Literally, I'm a geek like that. That they realize that people want to feel a part of something bigger than themselves, and they gave it to them. And I'm asking you this right now. I want you to realize today, right now, because most of the people, besides the 6% that are the actual salespeople or the BDC folks, is that you manage a certain amount of people. It could be one person, it could be 100 or 300 people. But your job as a leader, as a manager, and as someone that is a steward of these people, of their abilities, is that you need to give them something to make them feel something bigger than themselves. People talk about us at the dinner table. We affect people's not only paycheck, but their livelihood, how they feel about themselves, how they're able to manage and love on their family, right? So give them something to be big. Give them something to be a part of, okay? And that is huge. We embrace that at PCG. We embrace that, and I see the folks that embrace that in dealers, and this is so huge. So whatever you can do through accountability and transparency, this is when ownership will happen, okay? So, all right, we've got the goals, we've got the accountability, but how in the world are these people going to learn to do their jobs? It's going to be through training, right? So we got to develop the skills to be able to improve what we do to be better than ourselves, okay? So, Eliana.
Yes, sir.
You're up.
I'm up. Okay, audience. Last poll question for you. Please look at your screen and let us know what you think. The question is, which one of these statements is true for you? Please select one of the following options. I have monthly training sessions. I have weekly training sessions. I have daily training sessions. I have little to no training, or my dealership/management doesn't feel training is necessary. Whatever the answer is, well, we want to know. And once we get a majority of the votes, we'll close the poll and share the results. And Mark, I'm seeing the votes as they're coming in. Wait till you see how the votes are coming. They're crazy. They're like, you would think that they would all be lumped together on one side, but they're not. No? They're all over the place. Yeah, wait till you see. So I'll give you another couple more seconds to get your votes in, and then we'll close the poll, and then Mark is going to comment on these crazy results we just got in. Any idea, Mark? I don't want you to sway the vote, but what do you think is going to be the number one answer?
From what I see, it's probably, and it's not OEM training, and I should have probably specified that, but...
Yeah, not OEM training. That doesn't count. Training in your dealership. Right.
Right. I would say weekly, but the weekly training is probably done for about 5 to 10 minutes on a Saturday morning meeting is what I think.
Well, let's close this poll and share the results and find out. You know what, Mark? You were right.
Am I?
Yeah, 37% of today's audience said that they have weekly training sessions.
Okay.
30%, so 30%, a solid third of today's audience, that said that they have little to no training.
Okay.
15% of today's audience said that they have monthly training sessions. 11% said that they have daily training sessions. 11%. That's actually better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then 7% said that their dealership or management doesn't feel training is necessary whatsoever. Now, does any of that surprise you?
No, it does not, unfortunately, because what I see the differences between those that flounder and those that are flourish is what we've talked about: accountability, transparency, and ownership. But inside that is the training. It is absolutely training, right? So I probably had a similar experience, right? So I did my sales. I actually had a pretty good sales guy. My dealer would not let me sell or get commissions for 2 months. I literally was paid $10 an hour. He made me as hungry. He knew what he was doing. He made me hungry. But I had to shadow a guy for 2 months, and it drove me nuts. Okay, so that was, but it was no specific training, no specified training. It was just learn from a guy, a 20-car guy a month. When I did go to finance, I actually did go for 3-4 days to finance school. But what's crazy is, right, I was asked to go be a sales manager. Never been a sales manager before. I was 25 years old, was successful as a salesperson, successful as a finance guy. I said, oh, sales manager. I had like a day with the previous sales manager. Basically learned how to use Nissan's North America, their system, some basic stuff, and that was it. You talk about being overwhelmed, right? You talk about, and I also, when I went to the internet side of things, they said, go be your internet director. That's a whole other story in itself. Literally, go be your internet director. The good news with that, though, is they allowed me to go to a lot of conferences where I was able to learn, right? But dealers, GMs, principals, that we can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, I was talking about a dealer yesterday that spends almost $1 million a year and does little to no daily training, right? And so when we get them in the door, we let them slip through our fingers by poor training and execution, right? So I don't know why we don't train. I really don't. It's probably because we weren't trained, that we expect that our employees need to be as successful as we do, right? That they just need to be inherent. I don't know, right? We're one of the few industries that we have inside that we deal with millions of dollars, yet there's little to no training besides we learn the product, and then usually we pay someone to do that, to go through the OEM training, because we don't want to do those dumb questions, learn what the horsepower is, or how many side airbags, or God knows what. They try to trick you on that stuff. I've had to take all those. I mean, I literally could do the GM internet training in 5 minutes. No knock on GM. Actually, it is a little bit, but we need more training inside the dealership. Okay, so but ultimately, if a lot of us aren't decision makers here, we don't have the ability to write a check. So we have to learn within the structure you have, right? We have to go find it. We absolutely have to go find it. The best things, I've worked with a corporate organization, and they literally do. It's one of the, there's definitely some nuances within a corporate structure, but there's so much structure inside of a corporate organization that one of the benefits inside of that is that they literally do training every day. So they have a mandatory sales meeting every day. And inside that, training happens. For the internet department, and this is a dealership that literally grew their internet department 300%. You know, they went from selling roughly 15 to 18 cars a month to cracking 50 in a year. And yes, okay, it's 50 is not a lot, but you know what? For a dealer selling 200 cars a month, add another 45, do the math on that. Do the gross on that, right? Sit there and look at what they're doing. You're pouring into the people. Grant Cardone has a phenomenal deal that a lot of dealerships use. If you want to use something like that, there's so many modules out there, virtual modules, that you don't have to come up with stuff. Because sometimes we get caught in this saying the same thing over and over and over, and people tune out, right? If DEALERUN had the exact same person every week on a Thursday at noon, how many people think would come? You know, Ziegler's great. I got Glenn and Brian Pash coming up. But if we said the same thing over and over and over and over, or there's only so many times you can say certain things. So we need a pool. We get outside minds pouring into us, right? I would challenge you guys and gals to read a book a month. If you're not a reader, listen to it. Audible.com, I think, costs $10 to $15 a month. I forget. Bills my credit card every month. And I can listen to 2 books a month. I can download 2 books a month. And I travel a lot, but we have one of the things in the car business, we have a lot of downtime. We really do. As a GM, maybe not so much. What about your commute? What about if you have a 5-minute commute? Figure it out. Spend some time. One thing that Brian Pashas taught me is to spend that first hour of your day pouring into yourself. Whether that's reading, that's praying, that's exercise, pour into yourself, okay? We have to attend conferences. If you have a dealer that doesn't want to send yourself to conferences, attend webinars. Thank you very much for attending my session. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rock on. Yes, thank you, right? We need to grow ourselves and our team, okay? So regardless if you're the GM or you're a manager, you still can train your team. You have to start somewhere. And then what you do from there is you have to sit there and say, this is what I'm going to do, and you do it. Many times in dealerships that we put something in place, and I'd like to throw another poll up to see if the percentage of this does it happen or does not, but it's like I'd be curious to see how many times do we try to implement something and it doesn't happen, right? One of the things that I love about being part of PCG and what I do is the people we're working with are bought in. The dealers, the principals, the GMs, they are in it to win it. They're willing to rock it. Right? Some of us on this webinar probably don't have that same ability. We have folks that are stuck in their ways. They're used to being with their culture. They don't have all the fun stuff we talked about in the Flounder blocks. They're stuck there. But you still control what you control, and you can control yourself. Go to automotivedigitalmarketing.com. Go to drivingsales.com. Go to internetsalesmanagers.org. Go get on Dealer Refresh. Immerse yourself. Learn what's going on. Sign up for DEALERUN's webinars. Sign up for PCG's newsletters where Brian's sharing some of the greatest insights around, right? Learn. And then what I would challenge you to do, if you want to go to a conference here, dealers want to let you go, this is what worked for me. I said, okay, give me a goal to where I can, in essence, pay for myself to go to these conferences, right? If I make you enough money, Mr. Dealer, Mr. GM, Mr. Salesperson, Manager, will I go? And you put a goal enough that's going to, in essence, meet your goal, right? And you put a carrot out there. I don't know any dealer that'll say, if I sit there and your goals normally say 100 cars, if I get you 120 cars average over the next 90 days, another 60 cars or whatever the case may be, a dollar amount, whatever your role is, right? And you sit there and you go, if I do this, will you do this for me? Dealers and managers and the top level of management understand it. They get it. I believe that. The majority. Are there exceptions to the rule? Yes, you betcha. But overall, if you can sit there and put those carrots out there, you can get yourself involved. Also, some of those training modules that are out there, get on that. I mean, I'm talking probably $1,000 to $1,500 a month, maybe $2,000 a month. Okay, you're a small dealership. I get that. But how many people do you have? Divide that up on a monthly basis. Do the math. Is your team worth $100 a month to invest in? Phone training, phone ninjas, and all the other people that monitor your stuff, right? Sit there and we do what's called mirror shopping. We come in behind you, look at your CRM, and look how your team's handling your leads, right? We can do that. People can do that. If you don't have the time, many times we don't, hire someone that does. But show them the results. Show the dealer, the people signing the check, the ROI. If they don't want to sign the check, go find it. Be resourceful. Go do what you need to do, okay? So we're coming short on time, but we got a couple more options to go through, okay? So we've got accountability. We've got transparency. We got ownership. We have training. Last but not least, this all comes full circle, that people have to be accessible. You know, some folks I have an open door policy, but I'm getting it fixed. So they're getting it fixed. They're going to shut that door. You know, there's only so many times that you can actually go to the dealer, you share with them what's your heart, and it slaps you or comes and bites you in the rear. right? Does anyone that happen? Where you go and you share with someone. You do have to learn who to trust. You do have to learn who to go to do that. But as management, as leaderships, you have to be accessible. I worked with the sales manager one time. It was hard to work for him. Why? Because I never knew what I was going to get when I approached him, right? He was, for lack of a term, probably needed some happy pills to even him out, right? He needed some Prozac. He needed some Zoloft. He needed little happy pills to even him out because it was hard. And you know what? I used to be that way. I used to be able to be, for lack of a term, erratic. I don't know if that's right, but moody. I think my team at one time would have called me moody. And so they had to learn to work within me. And then I saw people, less and less of my employees kept coming to me and stopped being open. And that's when it opened up my eyes. So ask yourself this. If you chased up that hill, that fight that you wanted to go up, whatever the case of you is, and you look behind you, who's going to be following you? Is anyone going to be following you? Or are you on your own? Because that's what a leader is. A leader has followers. A leader has people that want to take them to something bigger and better than themselves. We have to learn how to listen to people. You know, Don Griffin, the guy that I worked for 2 months with shadowing for, made $10 an hour, while he made 15 grand a month. The biggest thing he said to me when I was selling cars is what you can do with customers, you have to learn how to listen. And you have to learn how to listen to your employees. You do. Because if we don't, the dealership that we have will drown them out. The negativity. Don told me to run from negative people. If you're on point and they're all bitching about how the newspaper ads suck this month, the radio XYZ, just walk away. Because you get caught involved in that negative culture, you'll get sucked into it. You'll understand and you'll start believing all that negativity. And then you're that grumpy old car guy that sits down at his desk that sells 8 to 12 cars a month, and then he's sitting around all his buddies talking over coffee. And that's your life, right? And not that I love the car business. I'm going to be in here forever. But I don't want to be 8 to 12 car guy. I don't, right? I want to be bigger than that. Your team wants to be bigger than that. You have to learn to listen to them. You have to learn how to be accessible to your people. You literally have to learn how to open door policy. Because if not, they won't come to you. They won't share what's going on. They won't share their struggles or opportunities, right? Man, if people are going through stuff, we have to learn that life happens, right? I've had life happen all the time. Small, big, insignificant, significant. But we got to listen to them. We got to understand our employees, okay? So lastly, those are my points, guys and gals, is that we have to learn the biggest things, control what you can control. And if that's something you put a sticky note up on your monitor, your iPhone, that's your screensaver, that's something that's difficult for you, learn that. Own that, right? And the first thing is that and when you go to any conference or anything like that, they always say go back and change some of the stuff you can change the fastest, right? I went to NADA Dealer Academy, and you want to change all this stuff because you're seeing all these opportunities. You got to realize there's a culture there. There are people that love and are passionate about what they've done. We can't cut people out from underneath them and their legs from underneath them, right? But we can do some small things. So if that's transparency, if that's meetings, the top-down meetings we spoke about, if that's going over, holding folks accountable, right? Whatever you can control. If you're in the BDC Director department, go over all the financials. Show them what's going on. Show them their closing rate, their appointment rate, their show rate, the contact rate, all that stuff. Compare them to each other, right? Show them how they throw in the big picture of the dealership. Show them that they are a percentage and they're the one that's making this happen. Get the GM and the dealer to come in the same meetings. Let them feel a part. Some of this stuff is very easy, but you have to be mindful. You have to place a concerted effort on these options. If not, you're going to click off this webinar, you're going to go back and do what you're doing. And I pray and I hope that does not happen. There's some things that you can take away and you go, you know what? I'm going to be better than myself. I don't care if it's reading a book, listening to a book, Heck, I don't care, whatever you do, pour into yourself, okay? And we must instill our transparency, our accountability, our ownership, and our training. And we've got to be accessible. And those things will lead to success. I guarantee you. You cannot do these things and not be successful. You can't. I do not see how it can be humanly possible to control the environment that you're in. You offer transparency, accountability, ownership, training, and you're accessible to your team. How can you not be successful? Right? I can't control that Honda had a shortage of inventory. I can't control Toyota's crap that went on. I can't control the recalls. I can't control all the suits that are going on, but I can control what I have available to me. And that's what I want to challenge you guys today. Because right now, we're off to great places. Today is our day, and our mountain is waiting, so get on your way. I promise you guys, we have to keep calm, and we have to flourish on. And that's what I got.
I love that you just quoted Dr. Seuss, by the way.
Yes.
Mark, thank you so much. That was inspiring, and I do appreciate it. Audience, I know you think it was great, too. Now, we are going to get to your questions for Mark. So if you have a good question for him, please write it on in. We're going to get to those in just a minute. First things first, though, we got a little bit of business to take care of, don't we, Mark?
We sure do.
We sure do. My favorite time. I wish I had some game show music every week, but I don't. I'm going to have to talk to DEALERUN about getting some. But I love this part. I mean, I love the questions from the audience, too. But I love giving away stuff. Who doesn't like getting free stuff, right? So it's that time. If you missed it at the beginning of the webinar, I announced that our good friends at PCG Consulting are giving away an awesome prize today on the webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a private one-on-one coaching session with Marc McGurren himself. He's going to cover whatever you want him to, process, internet leads, BDC, anything you want, right? Right, Mark?
Yep. Anything they want. I am at their disposal for however long they want.
Wow. So this prize is valued at $500, but really it's worth $1 million. Pinky to the lips. Okay. All you have to do is answer a simple question about the presentation that you just saw. So get ready. Get in front of your keyboards. The first one to write in the correct response we'll be walking away with this amazing prize today. So I want to wish everyone the very best of luck. We can only have one winner, though, of course. And thank you so much for my music,
hey,
Mark. I appreciate it. Okay, here's the question. Good luck, everyone. I know we have some fast typers in the audience. Who did Mark quote when he said, "The problem is not the problem is your attitude about the problem"? Which, by the way, great quote. Wouldn't have thought that it would have come from this person. Great quote. And we have a winner. Boy, you people were definitely paying attention. You guys all got it right. So congratulations, all of you, on getting it right. But the first person to write in, this is a new name to me. I don't know if I've seen him on here before. Jeff Ravilla wrote in Captain Jack Sparrow. That is correct. Jeff, congratulations. And write on in and tell us what dealership you're from so we can give you a proper congratulations. So there you go, Mark. Jeff is your dude. He is going to...
Love it, Jeff. Looking forward to it, Jeff.
Oh, let's see. He said he's from Snail Auto Group. So nice to have you here with us, Jeff. Jeff, are you a first-timer? Because I don't recall seeing your name before, but so happy you're here today. Thank you so much. And, people are writing in. Thanks, Mark and Eliana. Another awesome webinar. That one comes from Lori. And Jeff has been on many other webinars, so thank you so much, Jeff, for coming here today. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get to our first question. And thank you so much, everyone, for playing along, by the way. And don't worry, we give away free stuff all the time, so come on another webinar. You have a better chance of winning then. Okay, before we move on, of course, I want to say congratulations to the winner, Jeff, and we want to thank PCG Consulting for their generosity. Okay, first question. Are you ready, Mark?
Bring it.
Or as I like to call you, Marky Mark. Probably won't. And by the way, no more cursing on my webinars, all right? I will come over there and beat you.
I cursed?
Yes, you did.
My bad.
Okay. First question comes to us from Joe, and he says, "This was all great stuff, Mark. if I had to start with one thing, what would you recommend? What do you got for Joe, Mark?
If I had to do one thing, and obviously given the culture that's there, one of the easiest things to do is instill accountability. That's one of the biggest things you can do. And with that, obviously, you got to have the transparency. But ultimately, accountability, we can set goals. We can do those things. So whatever position that you're in, Joe, whether it's BDC, whether it's a salesman or GM, if we hold folks accountable, I believe that people like to work within boundaries. They want boundaries. So we need to give them boundaries and we give them goals, right? And then from there, we got to give them the tools to get to the goals we want them to get to. But ultimately, my goal is for them to do however many ROs an hour, or, put this many hours up if you're a service writer. If you're going to sell this many cars, this many appointments, you set the goals up. Then you hold them accountable on a daily and weekly basis. If they want to do 30 cars or 30 appointments, they need an appointment a day. And we're looking at seeing what's going on. We hold them that we've got 2 appointments, 4 appointments, whatever the case may be is, and you reward them based on that. Even it's a high five, way to go, Joe, way to go, Joe, whatever the case may be is. But that's definitely one of the easiest and first things you can instill.
Great advice, Mark. Thank you so much, Joe. I hope that helps you out. Next question comes to us from Allison, and she says, and I believe this was around the time of the awesome toaster, whatever that was, that
yes,
solar-powered toaster. She wants to know, can you be too transparent?
You know what? I think that if your dealerships, yes,
Yeah?
but I say that in the sense of you want to be transparent enough to give the pertinent information to the folks that you want to have them buy into it. Now, you know what? If the dealership's struggling, if the department's struggling, that's okay. Let them know, right?
Yeah?
I mean, yes, because you know what? I'm okay with that. Because one of the good things that I learned from our general manager, Andrew Anderson, when I was at the Jerry General Auto Group, is that we have to let people know what's going on. Do I want to maybe paint it with rose-colored glasses on? For sure, right? I want to be positive, but I also want to let folks know the reality of the situation and not some, it's not real. People want to be real. And so ultimately, you have to be careful in what you share. And obviously, if you are not the GM or dealer principal, you need to make sure your superiors are okay with the information you're going to share, because you don't want to get yourself in trouble. But ultimately, I think people want real, and being transparent is being real.
Okay. Well, Allison, I hope that helped you out. Now, I know we're at the top of the hour, but I have just a few more questions, and then we'll button the show up, okay? So let's keep going. James wrote in, how often should we be training, and for how long?
Great question.
That is a great question.
What I've seen, the ones that are doing phenomenal, that I love, is the daily training. And this is why I think that we need something beyond, outside of the dealership, that's going to help you, okay? Because we're card folks. We're not trainers, right? But there are trainers in this industry and outside this industry. But what I would say is that if you're doing it daily, then I would say it's a 30-minute deal. It's start the morning off. Dealership opens at 9. You have an 8:30 meeting. I came from a Saturday morning meeting, lasted 10 to 15 minutes, and it was go sell cars, go balloon up. We're not selling, good job, or you're not doing a good job. That was it, right? Which many of us have. So I think 30 minutes a day is plenty, because it's going to keep people focused. Is your appointments down? Is your phone calls down? Is your CRM process not good? It allows you as a manager and a leader to keep the pulse of what's going on, right? Also, it allows people to share with you what's going on as well. And I think that I've seen it time and time again. Daily training needs to happen.
Daily training, and like 5 minutes isn't enough, you're saying?
Correct. No, I'm not talking, no. It needs to be a concerted effort, 30 minutes, something's going on. You're figuring out your sales processes. You're figuring out how to sell. Right? If you're in a service director or service manager, you're doing walkarounds, the proper walkarounds on how to greet a customer, right? And in that process, you will get a better picture of what's going on inside the dealership.
Okay, all right. Great advice, Mark, as always. James, I hope that helps you out. Let's get to this question from Bruce. And Bruce, longtime friend of the show. Bruce, nice to see you on here today again. He says, our biggest challenge in our BDC is getting in touch with fresh leads. Do you have a best practice for the first 3 days to get shoppers on the phone? Boom, Mark.
Boom.
Boy, he puts you on the spot, huh?
That's fine with me. That's my specialty. It was Bruce, right?
Yes.
I'll give a very short synopsis. And Bruce, if you want to email me, I'll send you a recommended contact schedule for anyone that wants that. It's no secret. The contact schedule is not no magic bullet. But I like to do what's called pleasantly persistent, okay? That I want to be pleasantly persistent. And where I'm not that dealership, but I'm also going to do my job to get them the information the customer wants. So I do what's called a 2x2 the first day, 2 phone calls, 2 emails the first day. We also we recommend what's called personality selling. So we send the initial price quote. We call first. Some folks don't say that. I believe it. People sell cars. People want to buy cars from people, so I want to call that customer, clarify what's going on, set the expectations. There's a webinar, Bruce, that I did back in January, I think, Eliana.
Yes, I think it was January 31st.
Yep, it was. And that actually has that presentation on that. That'd actually be very good to look at.
And you can find that at dealerun.com/webinars, and then click on the link on the right-hand side for on-demand webinars. And they're listed in order. Most recent is first, so you just flip on back to January.
Yep. And then send a why me email. I talk about that in that presentation, and then as well as a phone call. The next day, I'm going to get another follow-up email from the BDC Director. That sounds like you, Bruce. It's a thank you. It's a manual email and a phone call from the BDC or the one following up, internet person. I don't care if it's a BDC or internet department. Someone else needs to be sending this email, and then I'm not opposed to another phone call as either. The next day, what I would do is you want to follow up, assuming this is assuming there's been no contact, right? Fresh leads, you're trying to get in touch with the customer. You then send another phone call, another email, and you're touching base, being involved. You got, in essence, 2 people involved, the manager. You want to make sure no balls are being dropped. And so in that email, what's that?
I was going to say, in the first 3 days, you're making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 contacts in 3 days? Is that right?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Yes.
Wow. Bruce, I'm curious to know if you're making that many right now. And this, like, you think this is going to work. It's going to get people in, right? Get shoppers on the phone.
It's all about connection. The more people, and it's also the content that's being said in that. So if you got to answer the customer's questions. I talk about setting expectations, and you come alongside that customer and don't just pump out information, but you have actionable responses for questions that are strong, and not just, hey, looking forward to seeing from you. When can you go in for a test drive? You got my email. No, you want interaction. You want to ask the question. You want to understand that question. Think about if the customer was on the lot and said, I'm interested in a Toyota Tundra. Fantastic. What some questions are you looking for? What, extended cab, crew cab, or the extended cab. You want 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. You want, what color do you want? You want leather, you want cloth, you want. It's a fact-finding mission. You're not going to blow them up with a whole bunch of questions, but you make it relevant to that customer. So if it's a used car, you say, hey, I see you're interested in this 2011 Chevrolet Silverado. Are you only interested in the Silverado? What if I had a F-150 or a Ram that could save you some money, right? It's all about interaction.
So Bruce wrote back and he says, our process is pretty close to that. Good job, Bruce. I think Bruce wrote back and Mark pitched the book. I don't know what that means.
Did I? Oh, pitch the book. Okay, yeah, Bruce, I have a book. Great question, Bruce. Thanks for the softball. I got it. 10-4. Got it. So I do have a book that's
You
written
do?
by myself. I do actually have two books. One written by myself, Brian Pash, Glenn Pash, and Ed Schaefer. It's called Selling Cars in the Digital Age. And you can go to pcgconsultingservices.com or pcgdigitalmarketing.com, and you can find more information about that. It's a red and black book that we talk about best practices, no matter your size, your OEM, your manufacturer. It's going to help you sell more cars.
That's so funny because we had a question that came in from Daniel, and he says, what's the first book I should read?
Yes! That is the first book you should read.
That's the first book you should read? Okay, what was the title again?
It is Selling Cars in the Digital Age.
Selling Cars in the Digital Age. Daniel, Bruce, thank you so much. That was very fun. I didn't even know there was a book we were pitching. All right. All right, let's move on to, we have a handful of more questions that came in. Diane wrote in, she says, thanks so much, Mark. This is awesome presentation. I sure wish my decision makers were online. She wrote a sad face, I want you to know. So that's not really a question, but we had a follow-up question from somebody who doesn't want their name to be said.
Okay.
And this person says, so if the mountain is so large, it seems the dealer will never move into the digital modern mindset. Do you think a driven person should do all they can there hoping to have some small effect or look to move to a dealer that is ready to doing things more correctly?
Great question. And without understanding
So do you stay or do you look for somebody who has the same mindset as you?
Yep. Joe Webb actually wrote an article, a couple of years ago, I think it was still in the dealership, about basically getting off the bus. People were talking, I think Good to Great was out, and they were talking about getting the right people on the bus.
Yeah.
What if you're on the wrong bus? And I can't tell this person if it's, that if this is you or not. You might be on the wrong bus, but you might not, right? I do miss retail in the sense of I miss the people, right? And I love pouring into people, and I love that interaction on a daily basis and leading people. And so sometimes that's going to keep people there. I'm talking with a good friend. She's staying at her job now, even though she's bored, that she loves her people. But I had a conversation with her just yesterday saying, hey, you're better than this. You need to have a sit-down powwow with the owner of this organization and just say, where are we going? At that point, you know what's going on. And that way you can either choose to control what you can control and stay there, and know what you're involved with, and the frustration will at least be a little less because your expectations are not as great because you're climbing that uphill. And then you can either choose to stay on that bottom of that hill and look up because you want to make a difference in the people that are around you and in yourself, right? Hell, you might, sorry, I did say hell. I apologize, Ariana. So, but
and then you said it again.
Gosh darn it, golly gee willikers, you might want to stay because you love the people. But that is a very personal choice that you need to look at all facets, look at the pros, look at the cons. If you want to talk outside and you want to shoot me an email, I'll definitely keep you anonymous, whoever that is. But ultimately, if you know what you got, it's your choice. At that point, you got to figure out, is it a long-term place that you can see yourself with?
Yeah, I want to point out two things. I remember when Joe Webb did a webinar with us, a few months back, and he actually brought that same thing up. And he said, no doubt about it. He's like, quit, go get another job. He was like, and I remember it so clearly only because when he said it, I was like, what, really? Right. So I'm like, he's telling people to quit. What is he doing? But, Mark basically agrees with Joe. Mark's just being a little bit nicer about it and saying, get a little bit more information, and if it really isn't the right place for you, because let me tell you something, whoever you are, that when you are at the right place, you would never be, if you were at the right place, you wouldn't be asking, should I be looking for someplace else? To me, you're not in the right place. And this is from somebody who loves where she's at right now, because I didn't know that I could have what I have now had I not looked. So I know that was very cryptic. Second thing is, in New Jersey, and I don't know if any of you out there have been to New Jersey, but if you have, you might know that there's like stretches of miles where there's car dealership next to car dealership next to car dealership. And a lot of people think it's a crapshoot as to which ones are going to, be amazing and which ones are going to fold. But I really don't think it is, as Mark alluded to earlier. It really does have to do with management, leadership, transparency, all those wonderful things that he talked about during this presentation. And it's just ironic that they could be in the same stretch of road and just one, that's the two dealerships that are right next to each other, one is just killing it and the other one just isn't. So it's not always about the kind of car you sell, because there are people out there, dealerships out there that are doing amazing, and they're not selling BMWs or anything, so hopefully we'll find out what happens to you in the future. Please keep in touch with us. Let's go to the next question. You ready, Mark?
I'm ready.
Okay, next question comes to us from Joe, and he says, when you speak of follow-up emails, how do you feel about video email as opposed to just standard emails?
Love it, Joe. That is the epitome of giving it full circle. We're instilling this in a lot of dealerships right now. Have great success with it. The video is some people aren't going to like it, but I guarantee half the people will. It's not going to hurt, but it's got to be done in a relevant way. We definitely recommend you can do an intro video. If you don't have the ability to do on every single time, like a Elise Kephart, that deal, which is phenomenal. Actually, we have some dealers doing that, giving a personal 30-second YouTube video on every single one. And that's very basic. I mean, it's not to the produce as much as Elise's, but it's very easy to use a Logitech or a webcam, throw it up on YouTube, send the personal link, boom. That's very, very powerful. There's very few dealers doing it right now. They just set yourself apart. So anything you can do to set yourself apart, I'm all about.
I agree. I think dealers have the process. Like Bruce wrote in. He said his process is close to the one that you had said. But I think that maybe what they're not doing is as much personalization as maybe some other dealerships are doing.
Right. It's all about the content, yeah.
How do you keep that personalization flowing and not have it take an enormous chunk out of your time?
You have good templates that have a lot of body to them, a lot of meat, and then you personalize 2 to 3 sentences at the top. So you say what you need to say, where a lot of folks will like what you have to say that's going to be that body, but you still personalize it to where it's like, man, this is good stuff. It looks personal. It looks like it was spent a lot of time on it, and so that's the key to being efficient and personal.
There you go, Joe. I hope that helps you out. Let's go to our next question, which comes to us from Helen, and she says, what are the best resources on generating internet leads, and do you have best practices in automotive digital marketing? So 2 huge questions, which, by the way, we could do like 2 complete webinars on, Helen.
Yes, for sure. So ask the question again. What's the
best resources on generating internet leads?
Best resources I used to be a pay-per-click. When I was in dealership, I thought my SEO should get me up there enough, but we've seen so much good stuff. It's your own website, so I think you take a look at, and I've written some articles about it, that I'm willing to try just about every lead provider, because if it gets me money and I'm going to sell cars of it, and I'm not wasting time, it's got a good ROI, that I'm not closing 3%, but I'm anywhere closing 7 to 18%, then it might be worth my time if I have the manpower to do so. So obviously your first and second party leads are the ones you want to work on the most. Get a good, strong pay-per-click strategy, but obviously that costs money. So take a look at your website and make sure it's shoppable. Take a look at your time on your site, how many clicks are going there. Make sure your conversion rate's where it needs to be at. Because even if you do all the pay-per-click, I know some people that maybe Eliana can get you connected with that might be able to speak to you about your website. But
That was slick. That was real slick, Mark.
You like that? I know, right there. I sold DEALERUN.
You Texans aren't very subtle, are you?
No, not at all. But, I think that's a huge deal. You have to sit there. We are in the business of marketing our vehicles. So we got to get our cars out there. Start taking a look at your BDPs on your website. More BDPs equals more people in the showroom by far. That's what's going to happen. So Brian Pasha's got a white paper out there how to make you can plug in some Google Analytics in your own website. You can look at your BDPs. That's a huge question, but I think it's your website's your number one. And number two, what was the second question, Eliana?
Best practices for automotive digital marketing. Is that in the book?
That is in the book. Give me another softball. Seriously, I'm all jokes aside, anyone that has read our book says there's meat and potatoes in that thing. So if you want some information, heck, you can go to PCGconsultingservices.com, or just email me or email Eliana and let us know, and we'll get you information on how to get that book. Also, join the online communities. Get a refresh at automotivedigitalmarketing.com, drivingsales.com. All those places are great places to be. Conferences, heck, that's, but stuff that's pretty inexpensive. Books that are out there. No one has a book out there like us. The forums that are out there, that's the way to go.
Oh, and just so you know, Helen wrote back in and she says, I'm new to the auto industry and taking inventory of what we have going on. I inherited a somewhat messy website and I'm working to straighten it out. Helen, I can definitely help you with that. I guess I'm not subtle either.
No.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, Mark. You know what? We still have questions that are coming in, so hang in there with us. Let's get through a few more of these really great questions. Joe wrote in, and he says, can you touch on big data as it pertains to getting more leads?
So I'm assuming you're probably referring to Dadium and VinLens and all the tools that are coming out there that you can take a look at. And I am a data junkie, right? And I came across Dadium, when they were first getting started, and I absolutely love the data, but how are you going to use it? Data's got to be done in a way to where, you can have all the data you want, but how are you going to use it? How can you sell more cars from it? We can get caught up in tracking all these Excel spreadsheets and reports and everything else in our CRMs. What are we going to do with it? How's it going to help us sell cars? That's where the accountability comes into play. We've got to learn to spend our time wisely. But as far as big data goes, I'm all about it. It's a little creepy, I'll be honest. It's a little creepy.
What do you mean it's creepy?
It's creepy because you don't know where people go. It's freaky. It's freaky how much they can find out about your web's history. It's crazy. It's Big Brother on the internet. And so I love it.
I know Joe actually wrote in. He's a big data guy too. He loves data as well. And just so everyone knows, Jason Azell, who's the president of Dadium, he's done some webinars with me before, and they have been fascinating, eye-opening webinars. And I have him coming on again on July 11th.
Awesome.
So if you like data, he always shows up with the most interesting stats. Stuff you would never think. Like, you would think the exact opposite, but the data is there. It's irrefutable. So he's going to be here July 11th.
Yeah, and you might want to reach out to them. There are CRMs now integrating with them. I don't know what's going on, how many or which CRMs exactly. But the more data, the better. Really, that's one of the benefits of like VinLens on the VinSolution side. Again, I'm vendor neutral, but I like data. VinLens is cool. But how are you going to use it, right? You have to be able to use it. I like to know where people go, how they use it, how I can better get and understand the shopper's behavior without being creepy, and that's what Target does. That's what all these companies want your credit card. They want you to have their own credit cards. You can see how you shop. They know what you want. They can target you to where they want to.
No, I will say that's creepy. Like, if I'm on Target's website and I buy something from there, they'll say, well, the people who bought this also bought this. And I'm like, wow, that is really weird because I need one of those too.
Yep.
So it is crazy. Joe, also might be of interest to you, because I might as well pitch another webinar while we're here. On my birthday, June 13th, we have Dennis Galbraith, and he's going to be talking about the 13 metrics that matter. He narrowed it down to the 13 things that you should look for in your data, why they're important, and what you do with them. So that's going to be a really, really great webinar. I think that's going to maybe, possibly, answer your questions about data and how it could help you. So
and he's phenomenal. I love to hear Dennis speak. He's an unbelievably intelligent man.
It'll be his first time presenting, so I'm very, very excited about it. So, Joe, I hope that helps you out. I want to get to Andrew. Oh, he says sign me up. You're so cute, Joe. I want to get to Andrew's questions. He had 3, boom, right in a row. Remember how I told you, Mark, before the show, that my audience doesn't pull any punches? Andrew's right there. Here we go. So Andrew says, what do you think is a good website conversion rate and a lead conversion rate? That is total lead conversion rate, not just our website.
Okay. That's it? That's
well, it was 3 entries. That's 3 questions.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Eliana. You are the website. Are you familiar with y'all's conversion rates?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I do know for a fact, and this comes from Dadium, ironically, that the national average for a website conversion rate is less than 2%.
That's what I was going to say.
So if you're doing over 2%, then you're doing better than most people.
Right. And so you want to make sure, and also you got to make sure how your website's tracking conversions. You know, how you want to make sure that it's tracking a capability.
Andrew wrote in, he's like, woohoo, 3%, baby. Andrew, you're doing great. Right. Believe me, that's, I believe it's actually, like the national average is more like 1.88. They just rounded up to 2%. But 3%, that's really, really a lot better than a lot of dealerships are doing. So congratulations on that.
So yeah, I mean, so I'm not as familiar with that, and that's why I kind of defaulted or deferred to my good friend Eliana. But as far as conversion rates, overall leads to sales, right? And again, what's a lead? Okay, if we're talking, is it, what if a customer, what about phone calls? What about, you know, what are you going to pull out? You know, if you're a GM dealer, do you count your hand raisers? You know, but overall, for good overall leads, if you are cracking 50, and I believe this wholeheartedly, if you're not 15%, you're not at your fullest, right? I think where you can crush it is that 18 to 20. We do have dealerships that do that, and I've actually talked to people that do 30. By golly, I want to learn from you. I really do. And so, but again, it's how are we tracking it? What's considered a lead? Because we don't have a, but what I would say, someone says, give me a price quote, give me an online quote on autotradercars.com. They're on Delix, on AutoUSA. Remove your duplicates, and I think you should be minimum 15%. Minimum.
Okay. I don't know. Andrew, write on in and tell me if that answered your question. It sounded like it did. And Helen wanted to know that national average that we quoted earlier, which was less than 2%. That is the national average for conversion rates on your website.
It means that they become invisible to visible. They either call, they click, they leave their information. So you actually view.
So unique visitors, unique visitors per month divided by, or what is it? The number of leads you get per month through the website divided by the number of unique visitors.
Yep.
Is it calls and clicks and forms? Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Okay, and then, need to talk with you, Mark. That seems high. I haven't seen that rate since 2008. That's what Andrew said.
Yeah, I got the proof. The proof's in the pudding, and the no one's eating, buddy. I got them.
Andrew, that's why we put Mark's contact information up there, so you can get the skinny all on your own. So I highly recommend anyone out there, contact Mark. He's a super nice guy, I swear. He's done 2 webinars with me. Who does that?
This guy.
This guy right here. Okay, and he said, as you said, it depends on how you count a lead. Yeah, I think there's some people out there who are maybe making their numbers a little bit better.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Yep. Maybe.
You know, but you know what? We got to button this up, Mark. Fantastic job. You are fabulous. Thank you so very much. I'm hoping to get you on my show again. You know, sometime soon. I know you're a world traveler and stuff, so let's see if we can work that out. Okay, Mark?
Sounds like a plan.
I love it. I love it. And, of course, any questions that weren't answered during the time allotted, Mark is going to be kind enough to answer those directly by email later today. And I want to remind the audience, hey, guess what? We recorded this, and a link to download a copy of that webinar recording is going to be emailed to you later for your reference. Feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And we're also going to be posting the webinar online within 24 hours. Just go to dealeruron.com/webinars and then click on the link that says On Demand Webinars. And they're in order, so Mark's will be at the very top of that list, all right? And you can also view our upcoming webinar schedule as well. Also, at the conclusion of the webinar, in just a minute, you're going to receive a short survey. Fill it out, please. We're always looking for great feedback from you, our valued audience. And we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. And yeah, invitations are going to be going out tomorrow for our next webinar. How to make mobile a bigger part of your online marketing strategy with Mike McFall. I scored us the president of Black Book Online. He's going to be here, and he's going to talk about mobile. How awesome is that? Dealers and OEMs report that as much as 35% of their traffic is through mobile platforms now. However, most dealerships have done little to adjust their web strategies, online search, or store processes to accommodate this growing market. This one-hour webinar is going to explore 3 pivotal opportunities in mobile: search optimization, website orientation, and new store processes, including the use of store-based Wi-Fi and permission-based texting. Dealerships with a cohesive mobile strategy have documented impressive sales increases of 20% or more. So what are you waiting for? If you're ready to make mobile a bigger part of your online marketing strategy, then this is one webinar you can't afford to miss. It's going to be another fabulous presentation by your friends at DealerUn. And don't forget, DealerUn's weekly webinars are held every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We've got some great webinar subjects planned for this year, but if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, contact me. I love hearing from you. It's Eliana@dealeruron.com, and I'm on all the automotive social networks. It's easy to find me. How many Elianas are there out there? So thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on a future webinar in our continuing education series. Thank you so much.